Look, I wore my gay socks. Wait, what was the question again? I forgot. Oh my god. So I live in a family of gays. My auntie Audrey, she's married to my auntie Gina. And my cousin, who is lesbian. I have my gay cousin, because, you know, you always have a gay cousin. My parents had gone out and my brother was home. He came outside and I was talking, and then I was like, I think I'm gay. And then he was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, do you have anything else to say? And he was like, no. I decided that I also wanted to tell my mom, and I basically just said, I'm bi. And she was really silent for 2 minutes. She asked me so what does that mean? And then I had to explain it to her. From there, she found this whole ass giant cake, the bi flag wrapped all around it. We came home one day with my entire family and we're we have a surprise. Everybody was confused. They didn't know what was happening. My dad kind of just walked away. After talking it through, I think he's okay. My gay auntie was you're trans? And I was like,
oh, it's the bi flag.
It's the bi flag!
My cousins and my brother who already knew were yay! Everybody was oh, gayness, more gayness in our family.
I told you there's gay.
It's great. It's nothing has changed, and that's exactly what I wanted.
If the people who I love the most
were okay with who I was, then I shouldn't have an issue with what people who don't know me care about me.
I think that the most successful aspect of my submitted work was definitely my interview cinematography. I decided to shoot 3 different angles, one of which was handheld, and there's a really nice handheld shot of Jasmine telling the story about how she came out to her mother as bi, and as she's doing so, the camera pans towards the bi flag in Jasmine's room, which is just really symbolic and it ties in really well to what she's saying. And this shot only came about because of a last-second decision to do a handheld shot on the day. And I think the final product really benefited from doing those 3 angles, as it made the shots in the final product much more diverse. The front-on shot was definitely the most personal, then the long shot from the corner was definitely the most aesthetically pleasing, and the handheld shot allowed for some more spontaneous variation and just some more difference and allowing to move whilst on set. It also made editing easier as I had more options to work with, allowing me to create different interviewee and audience relationships at different moments during the film. As for the most problematic thing, unfortunately, I don't think that I color graded the work to the best of my ability. I think that there are multiple shots that don't necessarily match, and even some elements of the color correction aren't to the standard that I would have liked. This makes the piece feel not entirely cohesive and polished. In future, I think taking more time to set up each shot and get all aspects of the shot right on the day of shooting would help with this, and there would be a better base consistency across all of the footage, which would just make color grading easier. And I also think that just giving myself more time to color grade would have also been really beneficial. A key learning discovery that I made about creating interviews, such as the portrait interview, is how to ask questions in a way that makes the interviewee comfortable and more willing to answer those really meaningful and deeper questions that can often be quite personal. And this is something that I learned from the Conducting and Shooting Interviews reading by Michael Robiegia, and this was part of the week 10 reading. And it talks in detail about asking things such as icebreaker questions and structuring the way that you ask your questions to make the interviewee more comfortable with the environment and the situation that they're in. And taking this information on during my interview recording, I think it actually really worked well. And I was able to draw out more personal information from my interviewee as I asked those icebreaker questions and made sure that my interviewee was in a comfortable environment. Something that I learned during the production process is the value of planning. I did a lot of detailed planning in preparation for this project, and especially since I filmed it at another location, I had to be really well planned to make sure that I took everything that I needed to be not only efficient with my interviewees' time, but also to make sure that I was able to shoot everything that I needed to. I came up with things like shot lists and equipment lists, and I think that because I planned so well, I didn't miss any footage and I wasn't unable to film anything. This also allowed me to bring things that I wouldn't have otherwise have thought to bring, such as extra lighting and additional camera tripods. And planning also meant that I had my B-roll in mind when I showed up to shoot, which made that process much more efficient, because B-roll creation can often be quite spontaneous when working out what to shoot, which can therefore make it time consuming. Moreover, when I sat down to edit, I think I really gave myself just the best chance to create a piece within my vision, as I had all of the footage that I needed. Planning actually allowed me to have more footage than I needed. And given that a project of this nature, where you never quite know how your interviewee is going to respond or what parts of the interview that you want to put in the final product, I think it's really important to have planned to have so many different types of B-roll, and I ended up with way more than I needed, which really helped when selecting what to put in and having those options when editing. So I think that organisation and planning, especially as a media practitioner, is so important, as it makes shoots more time efficient and more organised, and then it's just overall much more professional to show up with everything that you need so that you don't have to go and reshoot things because you weren't prepared.